Live at Lunch is produced by KRFC 88.9 FM in the Ginger and Baker Studio in Fort Collins, Colorado, and supported by the Music District, a music-centric gathering place to cultivate talents, support professional development, and encourage connections.
Welcome to Live at Lunch, right here at KRFC 88.9 FM. I'm your host, Denny LaRue. We're broadcasting from the Ginger and Baker Studio in the heart of the Music District. I'm excited to welcome Wrangler Jim and his personal demons.
Everybody here's gone crazy. I've got to leave before I go. This country makes me lazy. I need to change the scene, I know. Oh, I'm going to Colorado, going to play out west, going to Colorado. Bands keep playing town, laying around, going nowhere fast, I'm told. I got songs in my head, waiting to be sold, turn to gold. I'm going to Colorado, I'm going to stay out west, going to Colorado. Now I want to say it's over, but the pain is never done. No light could stop your memory, and it's
Wrangler Jim and his personal demons with Pain of Your Love and Going to Colorado. Well, great tunes. Really nice to get started here. We'll start with you, Wrangler Jim, and then we're going to meet all the band. James Arnold Geschwin, also known as Arnie, also known as Wrangler Jim.
That's right. I've been Wrangler Jim for quite a while. A few decades.
Yep.
And that's always been my radio name.
Yep.
And I had a band even before I started radio. That was Wrangler Jim and the Hungry Horsemen.
Yeah, I've got that on here. So we'll talk more about that, but it's a great name. I think I just think of you as Wrangler Jim now. Maybe Arnie now and then, but never Arnold.
That's a family name.
So we've got great keys over there. That was lovely on that last tune, the keyboard. And Justin Bizdek also plays, besides keyboard, vocals, electric guitar, acoustic guitar. So I'll ask you a bunch of questions in a minute, but let's go around. Let's talk to you, John Olson, over here on the drums, a.k.a. Johnny Cobra.
Yep.
Yep, they all got to have names.
Thanks,
and Ron Setzer on electric bass and vocals, and a.k.a. Rattlesnake Ron. So we got Rattlesnake Ron, and we got Johnny Cobra, and we got Flying J, and we got Wrangler Jim. Okay, so how long has the band been together? Wrangler Jim and his personal demons.
Well, it's hard to say. We kind of got started we're trying to get started right before the pandemic hit. And then we couldn't get together for quite a while, so we tried doing it over the internet with Jam Kazam and things like that. And the three of us were playing at that time, and it was really difficult to get the latency and everything working. But we kept it going, and then as soon as we could, we started meeting with masks on for a while. And then we tried out a couple of other drummers and practiced, and then these two suggested Johnny over here, and he sat in with us, and it's been this foursome ever since. So I guess of this four...
Year and a half.
We
were figuring it out a little earlier.
Year and a half, okay.
Yep.
Okay, and it sounds like your practice sessions are really fun. It's all also called the Book Club Band, is that right?
That's what Johnny calls it.
That's what my wife calls it.
Yeah.
Well, because it's kind of like that. We get together and we just like to be there and talk and enjoy each other's company, and so
play music and
yeah, and we have cookies.
Oh well.
Sometimes I make cookies.
That's a plus. So you've all been in this area for a while, and tell me a little bit about some of the bands you've played with. A lot of notable bands. Let's start with you, Ron.
Notable bands? I don't know if there are any that were notable.
Well, notable to you. How's that?
Notable to me. Well, I've actually only been in one other band in this town. Well, I take that back. I've been in a couple of different incarnations of things with Arnie over the years. But I was in a band, and actually Johnny was in the band for a while with me as well, called Lazy Bones, back in the 90s. We played to the late night college crowd scene, yeah. But other than that... and then I actually left Fort Collins for about 18 years and came back at the end of 2019. And I'd like to say it was for, employment reasons or whatever, but the real truth was I wanted to get back playing with Arnie again.
So what, did you leave for employment reasons?
Yeah.
And come back because your heart told you to?
Yeah, I was able to move to some other parts of the country working for a company based out of here. And I still do work for them, and I'm back here now.
Oh,
yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay. And Jay, how about you?
Well, I've lived in Fort Collins most of my adult life, played with a lot of different people, been lucky to play with a lot of great musicians and doing a lot of different kinds of things. Was in a band called Nomad back in the 90s,
Yep.
Did some recording up in LaPorte. I was in another band called Fat Pill with some local musicians. We were the house band at the Chow Bar, which was the bar at Pulcinella for about a year and a half. But those were all a long time ago.
Fat Pill at the Chow Bar.
Exactly, yeah. And we did chow on Antonio Razzi's great food. But this has been a really fun experience. This is probably my favorite project I've worked on, and really having fun with these guys.
That says a lot. How about you, Johnny Cobra?
I grew up here in Fort Collins, and had a couple bands in the 80s when I was around college age time, a group called Caustic Kids, and then later Joe Socket and the Wrenches.
Oh, yeah.
And then I went and played at Disneyland for the summer of '85 in the All-American College Band, and that made me decide to move to L.A. So I played out in L.A. for about 5 years, came back here in the early 90s, played with Ron a little bit. Then I was in the Freddie Henchy Band for 5 years, from
Wow.
95 to 2000.
Great band,
And
yeah.
They were recently inducted into the Colorado Music
Yeah,
Hall of Fame,
yeah.
so I got to go to that ceremony, which was a lot of fun to see that.
They used to play downtown Fort Collins.
Oh, yeah, we played Linden's a lot back in the day, and it was a really fun 5 years with that band. And then I was the music director at Ace Gillette's from 2010 to 2020. So for 10 years, I was playing 150 nights a year in the same room and hired a bunch of different jazz musicians down there. So had a great 10-year run down there, and took a little time off when the pandemic hit, and then was very happy when Ron called, and been playing with these guys ever since.
Yeah.
Found your home.
And, you know, he mentioned the Colorado Music Hall of Fame, so he's associated with that, but we should also mention that Wrangler Jim's in the Nebraska Music Hall of Fame.
You are?
That's correct, because of the Crazy Louie Band.
You know, I was just going to ask you, because we've been talking about different bands, and Grateful Steve plays Milk Truck Blues on his Vinyl Frontier show, and that's from the Crazy Louie Band days, right?
Yeah.
Nebraska. So you're in the Nebraska Hall of Fame for musicians?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, I am.
And tell us about your other bands you've had locally here.
Well, I came from Chadron, Nebraska, and I was in a bunch of bands up there, Search, and then the Crazy Louie Band for 8 years. And then John Schaefer and I moved to Fort Collins with his girlfriend at the time and 7 cats and a dog. And and we played as a duo called the Table Gang for a number of years here in town at different places back in the 80s, mostly. And then I played with Russ Hopkins and Gus Hernandez in Wrangler Jim and the Hungry Horseman. And then in around 1998 or 9, we started Big Buckle, which was Ron and me and Gus and Jim Heyman. And then when Ron left town, we quit playing. I did some solo stuff until Ron came back, and we decided, let's get something going
Get the
again.
band
And
back
I said,
together.
I said, well, you better hurry up.
Well, you do have a lot of albums out. I know some are with Big Buckle, and we'll talk more about that. But let's hear some more music. But that's great. Was that? I did have to ask you, the going to Colorado. Did that have anything to do with the Nebraska?
Yeah, I wanted to move out here for many years. I wrote that back there.
Yeah.
And then once I got here, I wrote a song called Chadron, thinking about going back to Chadron again. So we're going to play that one now.
Okay, great.
I've been thinking about Chadron. I've been thinking about when I want to go. I've been thinking of Nebraska. I've been thinking about people there I know. And it won't be long, I know. Won't be long, I know. Go back home. been thinking the country. I've been thinking about days so long ago. I was thinking my life then was the best life that I'd ever known. And it won't be long, I know. It won't be long, I know. Go back home. I've been thinking about Sharon. I've been thinking about when I want to go. I've been thinking Nebraska. I've been thinking about people there I know. And it won't be long, I know. It won't be long, I know. Go back home.
Shadron, the song about back there. So I know that's on one of your many albums you've produced just the last few years, Horsetooth Moon, Fly Fishing, Tomahawk, and Southpaw. Southpaw was in 2019.
Yeah, that's the most recent one.
Yeah. And have you guys talked about putting an album together?
Absolutely.
Uh-huh.
The more we practice, we've worked up a bunch of original songs, and some of them I've recorded previously, but as a group, live, I've never recorded those like that. So we would like to put out an album here sometime soon.
Oh, that's great. And so
if
I've
the
noticed.
fates allow.
Yeah, and so I've noticed that you wrote most of the songs today, but Jay, you did write one of them, Don't Bury Me, that's coming up in the next set. So how do you work as a band? Is it a collaboration going forward? Are you guys songwriters as well? I know, Jay, you are.
Yeah, so I've written lots of songs over the years and done some recording and released some stuff. And but we Don't Bury Me in a Tie, actually, I wrote in 1997. This next tune we're going to do. But then we decided as a group to kind of rework it, and so we all contributed and came up with a third verse, which is actually the second verse. But it's an additional verse that 25 years later that kind of fills out the song, and it never quite completed it and hadn't played it out very much, and I don't think it ever played it in a band, just solo a few times. But yeah, so we worked it up and
It's a great song.
It's a demon song.
It's a demon's
and
personal
it really
demon.
fits the description of the band, which is what we like to call fence post modern prairie pop.
Okay, fence post, modern prairie pop.
Yeah, and this is sort of
Nice.
the definitive
That's our
fence
genre.
post modern
That's
prairie
your
pop
genre.
song. Yeah.
Fence post, modern prairie.
Pop.
Okay.
Because a lot of them pop songs, and of course, I come from academia, and so I'm hooked on big words.
Which we'll get into.
And I actually grew up on a farm and did a lot of ranching when I was younger, so I know all about fence posts.
You have all this going on. Do the rest of you, Johnny and Ron, do you bring any songs forward, or?
I don't have anything I've written that I'm ready to bring to the band yet.
Yeah, likewise.
I try to contribute arrangement-wise, and I think we all do that. We all shape the songs once the songwriters bring them in, which is part of what I love about this band so much. It takes me back to the days where you would get together and really dissect a song and make it your own kind of thing. And we do the same thing with, we're doing primarily original tunes, but we do some fun covers as well. And we call it demonizing the cover when we take it, because we definitely turn it into our own song. But no, go ahead.
Oh, no, ahead. Demonizing, yeah.
Yeah, and that's what's fun about this band too, is that since all of us sing, we try to put a lot of vocal parts into everything, and it's really fun being in a band where everybody's contributing vocally as well.
And Ron and John do bring arrangements and cover tunes to the table, which you won't hear today, but they sing on some of them. And we may get the rights and record some of those. We don't know yet, but everybody does sing lead in the band. Mostly it's Arnie and Wrangler Jim, but
We're not running short on songs.
right,
You know, and that's wonderful to be able to sit there and arrange together and create together. What a wonderful thing. It makes for great music. And I know Arnie, Wrangler Jim, you just a songwriting fiend. I mean, you've written a lot of songs.
Yeah, I started when I was 14. I was in a band called the Frogs. And back in Brady, Nebraska, and I got my guitar from Ward's. My dad bought it for me if I got a haircut, and I still have that guitar. But right away we started playing. I got it in August, and we played homecoming dance that October, and I started writing songs right away. They were easier to play than covers for me.
And Frogs is such a 70s name for a band, right?
PHROGS.
I know. But it fits right in the genre, So it's great. Oh, that's a great story. Well, let's get on with some more music, shall we? So we have Jay's song coming up next, Don't Bury Me in a Tie. And
Yep. And then we'll do another one of mine.
okay.
Are you ready?
If you get far enough behind, you might have to go back and do what you never would have done. Peddling your wares for a dime, thinking back on all the years and all you left behind. So please have a little mercy, don't bury me in a tie. Most lost moments can be the turnkey, so please don't bury me in a tie. And now you're to the terror in the night, you're rattling your chains like the forgotten prisoner of Castlemere. Long since given up the ghost, and all that's left are tired old bones and your polyester coat. So please have a little mercy, don't bury me in a tie. Most lost moments can be the turnkey, so please don't bury me in get far enough behind. Might have to go back and do what you never would have done. Peddling your wares for a dime. Going all those years without remembering those kids. So please have a little mercy. Don't bury me in a tie. The most lost moments can be the skeleton key. So please don't bury me in a tie. So please don't bury me in a tie. I'll ask you once again, now please don't bury me in a tie. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Give me your heart. I can see it's breaking. I can tell part of you's been taken away. Give me your heart. Give me your love. Once meant for another. Give me your love. We can show each other the way. Give me your love. Give me your hope, and we'll build a bright tomorrow. The time has come. Put all of your sorrow away. Give me your heart. Give me your heart. I won't take no for an answer. I won't let another cut in on this dance, not this time. Give me your heart. Give me your hope, and we'll build bright tomorrow. The time has come. Put all of your sorrow away. Give me your heart. Give me your heart. I won't take no for an answer. I won't let another cut in on this dance, not this time. Give me your heart. Give me your heart. Give me your heart.
Nice harmonies there. Give me your heart.
Thank you.
And before that, Don't Bury Me in a Tie from Flying J there. Great songs. Arnie, you write a lot of songs about love, don't you?
Yeah. I write a song like that, trying to encourage that, using compliance-gaining strategies in order to convince someone to be in love with me. And then when it fell apart, I'd have to write another song about how bitter I was.
Right.
So I'm not going to talk about how many relationships I've had in the past, but there's a lot of songs made about them over the years, and some of them are pretty good ones.
Yeah.
You've already heard 2 or 3 today.
Oh, yeah. I've been hearing them
How does
over the
this
years.
one coming up fit into the grand scheme of things as far as love and love lost goes?
This is more on the positive side of it, I think.
Well, it's sort of related to the previous song in that I had I was trying to win a young woman's affection, and we were getting along great until she decided that I might have to go see my ex-boyfriend again. I might, he gets so sad when I'm not hanging around. And so I wrote a song that's like, I want to remind you about this thing that you started with me and that's going on. Just
Don't
saying.
forget. And that's coming up in the next set, right?
Yeah.
That's the next song.
So let me ask you, I know you probably thought a little bit about, what are we going to name the band, Wrangler, Jim? And so as soon as you said Demons, did you just know that was it or what?
No.
So what?
We agonized over names. We have sheets and sheets of names.
And text
that we were
Text
trying.
threads.
One of the top contenders was Pasture Prime. And
That kind of fits with fence post modern
it does,
Prairie
and-
Pop.
and
It's Rodeo Shack.
Radio Shack
Rodeo
is another one. But so we had a hard time agreeing kind of on names. We went through a lot of them, and then finally we settled on this and said,
Well,
okay,
this
we just
one
need to
came
have
up
one.
early in the process, and it was always kind of hanging out there,
It's a really fun name,
Yeah,
I
we
have
like
to
it.
say.
Well,
you
and
know.
it's true, I have a lot of personal demons that are not all in this room.
Yeah.
But there's avarice, sloth, greed right here.
Right.
And
And when Johnny talked about demonizing a song,
yeah,
making it your own from.
that's what we do.
Yeah. So something else I want to ask you about real quickly before we go back into music, and this kind of focuses on you, Wrangler Jim, because you mentioned earlier about your academic background and stuff, and I wanted to let people know that you were a professor. You're a professor emeritus now at Regis University in Denver. You were also department head there in communications, right?
Yeah.
And
I was down there for 20 years, and before
Wow.
that I was at CSU for a few years.
yeah, and you commuted back and forth, right?
I did, up and down I-25. Have you ever been on that road?
Oh yeah.
I call it a concrete ribbon festooned with emotional immaturity.
Wow.
Well, you're commuting. The thing that, besides, I know that was a big job, but you still had time and commuting to be a DJ here at KRFC since the beginning. And I remember your first show on Wednesday mornings was Thoughtful John.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, Thoughtful John. I just had lunch with him a couple of days ago. It
Great.
was his birthday, yeah.
How's he doing?
He's doing fine.
Great.
And we did that show for quite a few years.
I know.
We moved in different time slots.
Right.
Here and there. That early morning one was tough for us.
I know.
But we did it. And but ever since the pandemic, I've been doing pre-recorded shows.
Sunday Best. Tell us about Sunday Best. It's Sunday afternoons. It's a 2-hour show.
Yes, it's from noon till 2 o'clock. Wrangler Jim's Sunday Best, and I specialize in unfamiliar music, but pretty current music.
Yeah.
So
I've
I do a
noticed.
lot of surfing and listening to a lot of current things. And it really frustrates me when people say, there's no good music these days, because that's not true.
Yeah, there's a lot
There's
of
just
good
not
music
a
out
lot of
there.
music that doesn't make it into the
Right.
public eye. And I like to dig that out and put that on the radio and give it a chance.
Yeah, it's a great
And,
program.
So, and I like to make it about more rock, less talk. So I don't do a lot of talk about the songs. I do a little bit, but then I just let the songs speak for themselves.
Okay.
But I do that, every Sunday. It's I love it.
And how long have you been with KRFC now?
Oh, well, I was on the programming committee back in 2003. Well, I was part of public radio for the Front Range.
Right. You were part of that effort.
And before that, I started at KCSU back in the late 80s. Bob Terrell trained me.
Yep.
And then I went away to graduate school. But when I came back, I wanted to get involved with the radio station. I love public radio and community radio especially. And so I started doing that. And then one day, Joanne asked me, he said, John should start a show, And I go, okay.
Okay.
And so we did, and we did that for quite a few years, like 15 years or something. But for the last 3 or 4, I've been doing it by myself. John had some health problems and had to had to drop out for a
Well,
while. But
it's great music, and we're really glad that Sunday Best has been around and keeps going and keeps introducing us to new music, because there is a lot of good music out there. So speaking of music, the song you were telling us about, I want to remind you, let's get to that one next.
all right. You ready, demons?
Ready?
Feeling in my heart. I wanna remind you about this feeling started. First door next to me, you're gone again, and it's been this way since I don't know when. I don't know how much more I can take. Don't want this heart of mine to break. I wanna remind you about this feeling in my heart. I wanna remind you about this feeling started. Well, you said your mind, you told me so. And sometimes, baby, I just don't know how you lit the flame of love in me. I need you now, well, can't you see? You said your mind, you told me so. And sometimes, baby, I just don't know how you lit the flame of love in me. I need you now, well, can't you see? I wanna remind you about this feeling in my heart. I wanna remind you about this feeling started. I wanna remind you about this feeling in my heart. I wanna remind you about this feeling started. I wanna remind you about this feeling in my heart. I wanna remind you about this feeling started.
I want to remind you, and you told us about this earlier, someone that you were going out with and wanting to remind her that you guys had a relationship, right?
Yeah, and the song didn't really work.
It didn't work.
No, we broke up.
So where do you guys get your inspirations? You know, what are you listening to? What are you liking these days? What kind of music and songwriting art really gets you inspired?
Well, we were talking about radio. I think radio is still, I was just telling my wife the other day, I got her an album for Christmas based on, I think, music that either Arnie had played on his show or something on KRFC. KRFC plays and Arnie plays a lot of great music by female artists that are out today. And this band is called Planes that I was listening to. Great band.
Yeah.
Katie from Waxahachie, I forget her last name.
Katie Crutchfield.
Crutchfield, yeah.
Yeah.
And just stuff like that. You know, young people just doing fantastic music. And for the most part, I find out about it on the radio. I mean, streaming is obviously important, but for me, you know, pop music, rock, blues, jazz, all kinds of, you know, prog rock. I've just been influenced by all kinds of things over the years, and Americana and alt country, but you know, really, I think radio still really excites me.
Oh, that's cool. How about you, Ron?
I've been listening to a lot of Ray LaMontagne lately, and Gregory Alan Isaacoff, and Nathan Ratcliffe. Is that how you say his name?
Nathaniel, yeah.
Nathaniel, right. Yeah. You know, that Americana, probably the poppiest stuff that I really get into, and I think we all get into, is Tom Petty, things like that. Yeah.
And both Nathaniel and Ray LaMontagne are kind of moody, you know, kind of deep, and yeah. It's an interesting, good sound. I mean, and I love Planes, the new duo.
Yeah, I appreciate them for the composition and the sound. Yeah,
really good. How about you, Johnny?
Well, my roots go back definitely when I was a child. I grew up on Three Dog Night and Elton John and pop music of that day. My band in LA was a power pop trio, and we were heavily influenced by the Replacements, Badfinger, Big Star, that kind of sound. I really love the rootsy rock and kind of indie alt country, that the vibe that this band has. It takes me back to a lot of what I was doing in my Joe Socket days. We were doing a lot of the cowpunk music of the day, Blasters, Beat Farmers, that sort of stuff. And then obviously my tenure at Ace Gillette's, I think I listened to nothing but jazz, because I was trying to keep up with all the people that I was hiring, and I was learning new music every single week and jazz standards. And
at Ace Gillette's.
Yeah, so still very heavily into jazz, so my musical tastes are kind of all over the map. And I don't know, my fallback band is always Van Halen.
I was waiting for you to mention that.
He has many Eddie Van Halen T-shirts.
Yeah?
Yep.
Yeah.
And because John wrote for drum magazines and things, if you're going to ask John about what drummers he's met, it's a lot quicker to ask what famous drummers have you not met?
Has he not met?
I was very fortunate. During my time in LA, the whole 5 years I was there, I was writing for Drums and Drumming magazine.
That's great.
So I got to meet and hang out within the studio and, you know, interview a lot of my idols. I mean, the very first person they sent me to interview was Stuart Copeland from the Police.
Wow.
At his studio in Beverly Hills. So I about dropped the phone when they gave me that assignment.
Wow. What other drummers did you just really think highly of?
Well, probably the coolest drummer I ever met in my life, and the greatest guy and just a phenomenal musician, was Jeff Porcaro, the Toto drummer that also played on so many studio recordings. You can't even imagine it.
Steely Dan.
Wow.
And, you know, uncredited with Pink Floyd and Bruce Springsteen and Michael McDonald and Boz Scaggs and, you know, so much more beyond what he did with Toto. Michael Jackson, you know, he's the drummer on Beat It, and with, of course, Eddie on guitar. But Jeff was just phenomenal. I spent half a day in the studio with him, and he could not have been nicer and more humble and more gracious. And I'm like, I can't believe what a star this guy is. And he's just chatting with me like we're just a couple of drummers hanging out.
Did you play when you were out there too?
I did, yeah. I was in a power pop trio called the Visionaries. It was a name I did not choose. I thought it was rather pompous when I joined the band, but they were thinking more from a visual aspect, I think.
They had fabulous hair.
And we did have great hair back then. But it was a really fun band.
Yeah, and you wanted to get back to Colorado too, right?
Yeah, my daughter, who is going to be 32 this summer, was born out in L.A., and it was not the greatest place to raise a family. I was becoming a single father while I was living out there, so I ended up moving back home. And it was great because I had so many great playing opportunities waiting for me. Pretty much as soon as I got back here, the word got out I was back in town, and I started playing with a bunch of people right away.
So wonderful.
We got together, right?
Yeah, pretty quickly after I got back, Ron and I started playing together.
You too.
Yep.
And Arnie, I was going to ask you, Wrangler Jim, besides love songs, for sure, and besides the new music on Sunday Best that you delve into, what kind of music really gets you going these days?
Sort of like what John was talking about, all kinds of different genres.
Yeah.
I love jazz. I love interesting music. Music that's sounds unique, which is getting harder and harder to do, I think. It doesn't sound like something else. So that's the music I look for. Just for a quick example, I love the latest Kurt Weill album. He's got so many great songs on there that I don't think anybody else would think to do or do it the way he does, and I just appreciate that. I really like, and I like music from all over the world. And I've really been mining Australia and New Zealand lately. And there's a young woman down there, I think she's 30 or 31. Her name is Aldous Harding.
Fantastic.
And she writes the quirkiest, loveliest songs. She has a singing range that is super high down to super low, and she uses her voice like an instrument, and she's fascinating.
Featured in Wrangler Jim's Sunday Best last Sunday, I believe.
Was she? Yeah. Yeah, that doesn't
That's one we'll have
surprise me.
to all have to look up
But
for sure.
It's it just so many things.
Well, and that's one of the wonderful things. I have to do a little plug. KRFC does bring you so much music, new music, old music, current music. It's really such a variety and so eclectic. And I want to encourage everyone to check out KRFC's RadioVision on YouTube. You just go to KRFC FM, YouTube, RadioVision. It'll come up. We would ask you to take out a free subscription to it. It helps the artists that we play. It is a gift. This show will be on RadioVision. You can watch it, and you can watch all kind of archive show and cuts from different shows. So please tune in to KRFC's RadioVision on YouTube. Speaking of that, we have about 10 minutes left. I want to thank a couple people, and then we're going to go into two more songs. I want to thank our video team today, Dan Perez and Eric Delano. I also want to thank our audio team, Colton Boening and Andy Howes. They all do an amazing job. Thanks to the personal demons, of course. We've got right here Ron Setzer, Rattlesnake Ron. We've got Jay Bizdeck right over here, and that's Flying Jay. Johnny Olson, and Johnny Cobra. And, of course, Wrangler Jim, a.k.a. Arnie Geschwind.
I'm responsible for all these nicknames.
You are. So I can't imagine a band without a nickname if you're at the helm here. Right?
It's kind of conditional.
Kind of conditional. So tell us about the next two songs that are coming up.
Okay. The one of them was written about 15 years ago or something. I was unhappy with local government, and so I wrote a song. And I don't write a lot of protest songs. I really don't. But this one just kind of came out. So that one we're going to do first, and then with time we're going to do one that I wrote back in Shadron when I was living there for another girlfriend that left me.
Okay. And I want to say thanks to all the viewers and listeners out there for listening today to Live at Lunch from the Ginger and Baker studio in the heart of the Music District on KRFC 88.9 FM.
Are you ready?
Sheriff Jim does what he can, thinks John Wayne was a hell of a man, lives his life like an old West movie, shoot him up, move him out, makes him feel groovy. Sheriff Jimmy calls the shots, keeps this county all tied up in knots. Skinhead deputies hiding in the ditches. Everybody hates those sons of witches. Jim hates the bikes, wants them off the road. Got him in his bullseye, lock and load. Got a two-wheel ride, he's gonna molest you. Ride side by side, he's gonna arrest you. Gonna light a fire. Gonna light a fire in town. Gonna light a fire in town. I don't care if it all burns down. Gonna light a fire. care if it all burns. Sheriff Jim likes to pick fights, fights a war on Christmas with colored lights. For love of God and a jerk of the knee, he'll put up his own damn Christmas tree. Got a God-given right to carry a gun. Even better, carry more than one. You can take him to school, take him to church. A man never knows when he'll be caught in the lurch. Gonna light a fire. Gonna light a fire in town. Gonna light a fire in town. I don't care if it all burns down. Gonna light a fire. Gonna light a fire in town. Gonna light a fire in town. I don't care if it all burns down. Balloon boy sheriff does what he can. Thinks John Wayne was a hell of a man. Lives his life like an old west movie. Shoot 'em up, move 'em out, makes 'em feel groovy. Sheriff Jim likes the shots. He's county all tied up in knots. Skinhead deputies hiding in the ditches. Everybody hates those sons of witches. Give him bikes once I'm off the road. Got him in his bullseye, lock and load. Got a 2-wheel ride. He's gonna molest you right side by side. He's gonna arrest you. Sheriff Jim fights a war on Christmas with colored lights. For the love of God and the jerk of the knee, he'll put up his own damn Christmas tree. Gonna light a fire. Gonna light a fire in town. Gonna light a fire in town. I don't care if it all burns down. Gonna light a fire. Gonna light a fire in town. Gonna light a fire in town. I don't care if it all burns down. Gonna light a fire. Gonna light a fire in town. Gonna light a fire in town. I don't care if it all burns down. Gonna light a fire. Gonna light a fire in town. Gonna light a fire in town. I don't care if it all burns down. You took my heart and you tore it apart. Each night I cried, breaking up inside. You took my love, now I don't have enough. In my eyes, and then you told me lies. You told me lies. Told me lies. You told me lies. You said you'd stay, and you left anyway. You took my car and you drove to the bar. Picked up some guy and took him for a ride. Looked in his eyes, and then you told him lies. You told him lies. Told him lies.
You took my heart and you tore it apart. Each night I cried, breaking up inside. You took my love, now I don't have it done. Looked in my eyes and then you told me lies. You told me lies. 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 Told me lies. Told me lies. You 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 told me lies. Told me lies.
Thank you for listening to Live at Lunch, and thank you to the Music District here in the heart of Fort Collins, Colorado. Live at Lunch is produced by KRFC 88.9 FM in the Ginger and Baker studio. If you'd like to appear on Live at Lunch, email our music director, David Vacek, at david@krfcfm.org.